Arsenal are confusing me at the minute. That there's news coming out surrounding Arsenal that, if I'm being honest, has blown me backwards. I thought Arsenal were taking certain steps to be able to avoid situations like these, but the most recent news I'm hearing contradicts all the information that I currently had. So we're going to speak about that, but I don't want people to think this is just going to be a negative video, because there are some positives we're going to speak on as well. Before we get into it though, just help me out and hit like on this video. So there is a quick question I want to ask people before we get into the main part of the video, and it's quite simple. There's a discussion going online at the minute, and people are saying, is Arsenal currently underperforming? I mean, most people would say yes automatically, but I want you to take into account the fact that Arsenal have got so many injuries. I'm going to give you my perspective on this, and I want to see if you guys agree. So let me know yours. Currently, with all the injuries and how other teams are performing with injuries, are Arsenal still underperforming this season? Let me know. Look, I'm going to get straight into the news that I heard, and I was thinking, what? Arsenal are having to sell to buy in the summer. I mean, I genuinely was so confused when I heard this, because I thought that's what we was doing in the summer, in previous windows. I thought we was stripping back the squad. I thought we was getting rid of the deadwood so we don't leave ourselves in a position where we have to sell to buy. But no, the news coming out, if we want to buy players, even though our squad's already thin, even though we've got rid of a lot of the deadwood, we're still having to sell players to buy new players. And is this the reason Arsenal didn't invest in January? Is this the reason Arsenal didn't invest last summer in that forward that we so clearly, obviously need? And the thing that winds me up is, like, you can go to Arsenal and you could say, like, why have you not bought a striker? It's so clear to me and everyone else that we need a forward. Why have you not addressed that position? And they'll say, well, we had to buy David Raya. And I'm right, okay, but why have you not bought a striker? Well, we had to buy Calafiori and Timber. No, I'm hearing you, but why have you not bought a striker? Well, we was gonna, but then we bought Miko Marino and Declan Rice. And it's like, so you've spent, even if us fans at home don't know the exact allowance that Arsenal have to spend during a window, the Arsenal board have this information. The people at Arsenal making the decision should have this information to hand. So if you've got 400 million to spend before you have to start selling to buy, surely in that budget somewhere you would factor in a forward. And they might come to you and say, well, yeah, we bought Kai Havertz. And then you could say back to him, no, you didn't. You bought Kai Havertz as a number 8. It just so happened that you played him number 8 and he wasn't actually good enough to play that position, that you tried him up front and things started happening. He started scoring goals. So in fact, that was a poor signing that actually turned out quite well, because, you know, he is our top scorer. He is effective in certain moments and in certain games. Look, he's not the perfect striker. A lot of us know we need to still improve that forward, but I wouldn't say that signing's been a disaster. But don't try and act like you bought Havertz. That's the striker you've bought. Yes, we've bought 6 or 7 midfielders and defenders, but we've also bought 1 striker in Kai Havertz, because that's not the way it played out. You bought him as a midfielder and you just got away with it, and it seemed to be working as a forward, so you deploy him in that position most of the time. So you've spent, how much? 30 on Raya, 40 on Calafiori, 40 on Timber, 40 on Marino, 100 on Rice, 70 on Havertz. And during that whole amount of money, you haven't allocated no money to a striker. Is this negligence in this Arsenal team? Why are we so afraid of buying a forward? And like, the thing I do take into account is Arsenal in the past have had good forwards. We've had Van Persie, we've had Aubameyang, we've had Sanchez, who are players who are able to score 30 goals a season. But the rest of the team wasn't strong enough to allow you to go on and push and win those titles. Like, you would have Aubameyang scoring 30 goals a season, but then you'd have David Luiz at the back leaking goals. You'd have Mustafi, Kolasinac, players not good enough to really go on and win titles. So the argument that the board or Arteta could put forward is it's no good having the striker if you're not going to strengthen the defence in midfield, because we've done that. There's no point repeating that same mistake and just buying the striker. But that argument would work somewhat, but you have to, the amount of money Arsenal have spent, and that's something we can say about this Arsenal board, the past few seasons, scratch the January transfer window, like they've been willing to spend money to improve positions. You think of Ben White, you think of other players. We've definitely spent more in the past 5 years than we did the previous 5 years before that, for example. So they're not scared to spend money. But it's just the allocation of the money's been poor. Like, yes, like I'm grateful that our defence is so strong. And like, there's links coming out today. Arsenal are seriously considering buying or taking Joshua Kimmich from Bayern Munich. And you hear the name and you think, right, great player. But again, it's going to be a lot of wages. And you're signing a midfielder who can play defender. Like, we've got enough of these type of players. And look, would I take this player? It's a conversation for another video. When I see the links starting to heat up and it actually being a serious possibility, I'll break down and give my thoughts on it. But yeah, look, you hear the name and you think, right, that's interesting. But it's not interesting if it means you can't go and sign a forward or 2 forward or 3 forwards, however many forwards Arsenal need. Like, we got good young players coming through like Nwaneri. But at the end of the season, you're going to have no Sterling. Trossard's still going to be here. You're going to have Havertz. Gabriel Jesus is the long-term answer. If you're being honest, you probably have to say no. But you're not going to be able to sell him because of the injury he's got. So that's going to carry on into next season. So there's another player, Saka. You still need 1 or 2 forwards. You need an out-and-out striker. And then, look, you're probably going to need a winger. Look, I would love 3 forward players. That's never going to happen because we do need a midfielder as well. What's going to happen with Tomiyasu? Are you going to need to bring in another defender? You've obviously got players like Miles Lewis-Skelly coming through. Where's that next crop of players? You know, as Arsenal fans, you like to be greedy, and the fact that we've had 2 young players come up who, in my opinion, have the potential to be world-class players. But I want to see the next batch of players, Max Dowman, people like that. Are they going to start being integrated into the first team, or is it a season too early? Do we have to get the next season out of the way, and then the season after that you start bringing those types of players through? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Arsenal do in the summer. That's going to be a conversation as we get closer. Look, the transfer window's just closed, so I don't want to make it just about transfer. But the fact that of the news coming out that Arsenal have to sell to buy players, I was just thinking, we've literally just done that. What are we doing? We're just going around in circles here. Why are we having to sell more players when we've already sold a load of players? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that, because to me, seems crazy if I'm being honest. Maybe that is the financial situation at Arsenal, and that was the reason we couldn't buy players. Do I want to hear that? No. Would you guys have bought players? Of course we would. We all would have. But maybe that was the reason. I don't know. Look, Arsenal must be looking at the situation and saying, look, we've made mistakes. Like, we don't have a striker. We're having to still sell to buy, and the project isn't complete yet. So Arsenal are now being forced to look at this situation and say, guys, we've made mistakes. And this is where the sporting director, who they appoint, is actually quite a big appointment. There's names being floated about like Dan Ashworth. No. Alabe, yes. You need to get in the guy with the most experience. Ornstein putting out, there's like a name of 5 or 6 people in contention to get that role. I just want the guy with the most experience. I want the guy with the most links. And I want the guy who's going to be able to come in and make an impact. Jason Ito is not the guy for me. If you're just promoting from within, does he have the links across Europe? Is he able to get the connections and get the players that most of us would want to see? I don't know about that. So for me, I think you just have to go for the most experienced guy. Whatever it takes, just go out there and get him. The positive news is, are Arsenal underperforming or overperforming? It is a discussion that's quite interesting to me, because you see Man City with injuries and they have fell off a cliff. Arsenal have got injuries and they are still in second. I don't think you can any longer say that they're in the title run, but they are comfortably second. They're still 6 points above third place. They're still 7 points above Man City. So to rival fans saying, look at Arsenal, they're just in the top 4 race. No, we ain't. Like, yeah, if the results for the next 2 or 3 games, we get a couple of draws and then maybe a loss, then yeah, fine. We're in a top 4 race. But as it stands, Arsenal are not in the top 4 race. We're just comfortably the second best team in the league at the minute. Liverpool last season, they had a lot of injuries and they fell right back. So maybe Arsenal are performing where they deserve to be. Look, we're not performing well enough to be considered champions, so that's why we're not first position. But we have held our position pretty well considering the injuries that Arsenal have had. We've had injuries to key players. You think of Odegaard, Gabriel, Bukayo Saka. Gabriel Jesus. These are massive players for Arsenal who always chip in during the season. So are Arsenal underperforming or overperforming? My opinion is they're performing exactly how they should be considering the injuries. People say they're overperforming because we've got so many injuries. No, we're not. We're still a good team. We still have the best defence in the world. We're lacking players, and we're seeing that now with the performances. We're drawing to Nottingham Forest. We're losing to West Ham. So we're not perfect by any means, but we're still not as bad as the other teams who do have the injuries. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, like I said, do me a quick favour. Just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.